What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA, and here we go. You know what this is, the box office breakdown, the scoreboard for the film industry. This is where we take a look at who's hot, who's not, the winners and the losers from the previous weekend. We also take a look at the week ahead along the week that just passed. And yeah, we're talking about Sonic. Sonic absolutely did his job this weekend, bringing in $71 million in the 3-day total at the box office. Impressive showing for the little Hedgehog. But we kind of called that, right? If you remember, I did the box office predictions this past week, and I said I thought Sonic would do somewhere around $72 million in its opening weekend. I actually thought it could do even more, but I wasn't sure. But I felt like $72 million was a safe bet. Did $71 million, so okay, we were kind of close there. Now, where I wasn't close was Ambulance, right? I said Ambulance would do something in the neighborhood of $22 million, and it only did $8 million. I thought it would do $8 million on its opening day, so I was way off on Ambulance, but there's reasons for that, and we'll go ahead and get to that. Yeah, let's start with Sonic, though. Let's start talking about Sonic and what the little Hedgehog happened to do this weekend. So it says here $71 million, and yeah, that was a big deal because I thought that this film would do really well with families, right? Like, you have a lot of fans of the original, the original Sonic film that came out just before the pandemic hit, only had 35 days in theaters, and it did about $350 million at that point in time. So you're like, hey, okay, if Sonic's doing that kind of money during the pandemic, and now you're coming back with the sequel after the pandemic is over, and you're getting a lot of folks and families back in the theater, what is that going to mean? And it did amazing numbers. So it says here, powered to $71 million in the domestic box office, a hopeful indication that family audiences are feeling better about returning to movie theaters. Absolutely. Families are going to have to come back and really spearhead a lot of the box office that folks want to see. I know that the theaters and the studios have to be very pumped and excited about all of their family fare that's going to come after this, because, and again, I had mentioned this, we hadn't seen a lot of family films that you could take the whole family to, like, not just, okay, we could take, maybe some older kids like 10, 11 to see some of the, comic book movies, but really can't take the young guys, the 4 to 5 year olds, because, some of the stuff like Morbius might be a little scary for them. So we're not going to bring them to Morbius. We got to, kind of give them stuff that they are, ready for. And, oh yeah, here's Sonic. Perfect. Hey, everybody, we're going to go watch Sonic next weekend. That's what happened here. Ticket sales for Sonic the Hedgehog set a new high watermark for the video game adaptation, supplanting the opening weekend established by its predecessor. The first movie collected $58 million in 3 days, and then the President's Day holiday, it did $70 million. So it actually increased, like it actually outdid the President's Day holiday weekend back in 2020, and it had one less day. So it's very, very impressive. Overseas, Sonic has followed up. Overseas, the Sonic follow-up added $37 million in 53 territories, taking its international tally to $70 million and a global total of $141 million. Very impressive by Sonic. You can't say anything negative about it at this point. It's getting great reviews. Tons of people are going to see it. The audience score is off the chart. Everybody's enjoying this film. So great start. Paramount has to be extremely pleased with this. And like I said, this is just going to lead to great things for the box office overall. Now, in contrast to that, you had Universal's Michael Bay action-adventure Ambulance, with the debuted in 4th place with a disappointing $8.7 million. And I was kind of surprised, not overly surprised, because I did say during my box office prediction that my eyes might be a little bit bigger than my stomach, than in regards to the numbers that I predicted. I did say that, this might just be my excitement coming out, because I was excited. I enjoyed the movie. But it does appear that there are some changing tastes. And this article, this is Variety, you can see, kind of goes into that right here. It talks about, first, how Universal, right here in this paragraph, kind of talks about how Universal's been having a bumpy start, right? You got the 355, that didn't do very well. Redeeming Love, that didn't do very well. You got Marry Me, which they opened day and date, so they did a day and date release, in theaters and on Peacock. And so that kind of cut into the box office a little bit. It has been able to get some things going with Sing 2. It's grossed 162 million since December, so that's kind of softened the blow a little bit for their 2022 releases. But the 2021s, But the 2022 summer that's coming up for them is concluding Jurassic World Dominion, Minions, The Rise of Gru, and Nope. So hopefully Universal can get on the good foot with those films. But it goes on to say here, right here, the overseas, it goes on to say right here, overseas, the R-rated Ambulance earned $22.4 million from 68 international markets. It's boosted its global tally to $31 million. So, and here's the thing about it. It's not a bad movie. It's actually probably one of Michael Bay's best films. I'll probably say this is his second best film in my opinion, just behind The Rock. You know, I have right now, just my personal rankings, I would put him The Rock, Ambulance, and then your first Transformers. You know, that would be my personal, you know, Bad Boys and all that stuff is good too, don't get me wrong, but I mean that's just my personal ranking, and I think this is actually a really good movie, worthy of folks going out to check out, especially if you're an action adventure fan, if you're a crime thriller fan, like bank heists, like car chases, like who doesn't like that stuff? I love it. But nevertheless, it does show that, you know, as it mentions here, that there may be some changing tastes. Right here it's talking about it. The lackluster start for Ambulance is another sign of consumers changing taste. Like even the article goes on to say, there used to be a lot of these movies at the theaters, you know, but today's audience wants something special every time. The bar is set a lot higher now. You know, that is very true, you know, and even though this film is a, you know, low budget film, only $40 million, it's probably going to have a really hard time recovering its costs. So they really better hope that, you know, the word of mouth really pushes this thing, like, you know, for the next 2 to 3 weekends, because by the time we get out of the month of April, it's Doctor Strange time. I know theaters are probably going to be like, well, Ambulance, you had your time. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming. Well, here we got some parting gifts out here. We about to bring all of these screens over to Doctor Strange. That's what's going to happen. So better believe that they have this coming weekend, maybe the weekend after that, and then after that they're going to start slowly edging this thing out of theaters, you know, probably giving more screens to Sonic or the Fantastic Beasts, you know, and saying, okay, let's kind of balance that out if nobody's coming to watch this movie. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers and let's see how the weekend did overall. All right, so here we go with the top 10 for the weekend. Let's check it out. Sonic coming in at $71 million, blowing everybody away. Then you get Morbius, second place, $10.2 million. Morbius might be in some trouble. I'm going to get to that in just a second. Then you get to The Lost City at $9 million, Ambulance at $8.7 million. Disappointing opening for Ambulance. I know they're not happy over there at Universal. And then finally, Batman, still chugging along, bringing in $6.5 million. All right, then the new wide released version of Everything Everywhere All at Once coming in at $6 million, doing great for a domestic audience. You got Uncharted at $2.6 million, Spider-Man No Way Home, Selena, the re-release of Selena, and Sing 2 all coming in under $1 million. All right, let's get to the box office drops for week over week, and this is going to be very interesting. Let's talk about Morbius. Whoo-wee! 73%! Ouch! That has to hurt, okay? That has to hurt. All right, domestic this week, 10.2, 73% drop. Now they're sitting at 126. Okay, so what does this mean for Morbius? It's nip and tuck as to whether it may make its money back. It might not. And the reason is because you've already had its two biggest weekends, weekend 1 and weekend 2 domestically, and they barely scratched the surface. Okay, you got a lot of money coming from overseas. You got Morbius doing, you know, very little in the domestic box office. Obviously the reviews were terrible. You know, my review, I didn't like it very much either. And so now you're left with, what is Morbius going to do? Is it going to make its money? Is it going to be profitable? Yeah, we up in the air on that one. We don't know. Okay, and then you get to The Lost City. Now The Lost City hasn't released internationally a lot, because I know people are like, well, wait a second, The Lost City, that released before Morbius and it's doing less money, but it hasn't released internationally in a lot of spots. I think it has like maybe $10 million internationally, and that's it. So Once it starts getting its international releases rolling, we'll know more. But right now it's sitting at 78.5, 37% drop week over week from last week. Decent, you know, because last week it had a decent drop, and then this is a decent drop. So I think the Lost City is in good shape domestically. We have to wait and see what happens with the international market. Batman, obviously killing it, still making its money, 6.5, only a 40% drop. So it's just dribbling down, but still raking in a lot of money. I think Batman's going to somewhere between 750 and 755. I think that's where it's going to finalize its numbers, because I think it's only got another week or two and then it's out of here. It's off to HBO Max, so we'll see how that goes. Everything Everywhere All at Once, $6 million plus 461 for obvious reasons, right? It finally released wide. It released in a limited edition a couple of weeks back. Now it's released wide, sitting at 8.4 million. Everything Everywhere All at Once looks like a hit. Great reviews too. I think it said 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the audiences love it. So yeah, I think that one's doing well. And then finally, Uncharted made its money back, sitting in good shape. All right, so let's go to the overall top 10 worldwide. So of course you got Batman, 735 million, sitting on top. You still got those same foreign films that were in the mix from the previous weeks. Watergate Bridge, Too Cool to Kill, and Nice View. Numbers haven't really changed that much. International is always sometimes kind of fuzzy. You know, the numbers come in, sometimes they're right, sometimes they were calculated wrong. So you kind of just got to take it with a grain of salt. But this has still been pretty steady over the last few weeks. Uncharted sitting there. But look who's sitting at number 6 in its debut weekend. Woo! Sonic coming in at 141, and I guarantee you that Sonic is probably going to pass up every movie on this thing with the exception of Watergate Bridge and Batman. I think it's going to surpass Uncharted, and that's a big number to get to. But I think with the families that are going to see this thing, the international numbers are still doing solidly well, and I think it's just going to get, to 400 million. I really do. Based on the number that it started with, I really do believe it's going to get to 400 million, but we'll have to see. I could be wrong. I was wrong about Ambulance, so I might be wrong about Sonic getting to 400 million. And then of course you got the rest of these movies. Morbius still in the top 10 as well. And then yeah, let's get to the final numbers that we take a look at here. That's our make it or break it. So here's where everybody's at. Okay, so you see the worldwide box office on the right, and then the break even number on the right next to that. So who's in danger? Okay, I already said I think Sonic's in great shape. Like, it's going to make that 225 probably next weekend. I think Sonic's good. But Ambulance, Morbius, and Lost City, lots of question marks. Ambulance is going to be nip and tuck. You see that right there, $31 million. It needs 105 million. That one's going to be tough. Because it's going to need to do really well internationally. It's going to have to really hold firm with what it's done internationally. And so far internationally, it's been okay. It's the domestic office where it's kind of falling flat. You know, 8 million, you would expect at least, hey, if we got like half of that, you know, budget in the first weekend, we would have been solid. So I think it's going to have to get close to $40 million domestically. And I don't know if it can. If it can, it's probably in good shape. If not, hey, it's been real, Michael Bay. But I don't think folks are gonna have to start changing up. Maybe do some comic book films. Maybe throw another Transformers in there or something. Morbius is also in trouble. I mean, Morbius is in trouble. They need about $60 million more, and there is an absolute ton of competition sitting in theaters right now. You saw over the weekend, in its second weekend, it only did $10 million. So if it only can do $10 million in its second weekend, and it needs about $60 million more to break even, and yeah, there's going to be some international numbers, but I don't know how many more markets can make up another $60 million, because you got to figure, like, okay, maybe it has another $25 to $30 million left domestically if it flows out through the rest of April, right? Because by the time we get to May, Doctor Strange is going to take over, and, you know, theaters are going to be like, yeah, let's get this thing out of here. All right, hasta la vista, baby. It's been nice knowing you, but we got to make a move for the big guy, okay? Marvel, all right? Lost City, in terms of its domestic and its worldwide, I think that the worldwide number is a little bit misleading, like I was just saying, because it hasn't released everywhere internationally. So in order for it to get to that 185, it is definitely going to have to make up a lot of money internationally. Will it? That remains to be seen. It's a romantic comedy. How well do romantic comedies do? Even though it's an adventure, how well do romantic comedies do overseas? it's kind of hit and miss, you know. So I think that The Lost City is still a question mark. It might make that money back, it might not. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what's coming up for the next week, and yeah, what else do these films have to worry about. All right, so let's take a look at the upcoming release schedule. What's coming up next? Father Stew on April 13. All right, so Father Stew, this is a film, stars Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson, a bunch of other folks. Looks like it's drama, about a man changing his life, and that looks like that's going to be kind of interesting. Not sure how it's going to do in the box office, but we'll see. Then right after that, we're going to get, of course, the Fantastic Beasts: Secrets of Dumbledore. I'll be doing a box office prediction for this film, so look for that. This is going to get a wide release. I think this film is going to do very, very well. It's already got 10 million in the tank, so I think it's going to do very, very well in the box office. Immediately right after that, we're going to have 3 films coming out. And the good thing about these films, they're all different. I like when lots of different types of films are hitting the theaters. You got The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nick Cage. You got The Northman. This is also going to be a big wide release, kind of a period piece, kind of a Viking type film. And then you got The Bad Guys, which is, I think it's a DreamWorks cartoon, animated film. So yeah, 3 different types of films. And then even with the 2 films before that, again, Father Stew and Fantastic Beasts, all completely different. So I don't know what to really think about the upcoming box office. And this is all, of course, leading into Doctor Strange. So what's the box office going to look like in these coming weeks? It's going to be very interesting. Not quite sure what to make of it, but we will have a film prediction for Fantastic Beasts. Look for that in the next couple of days. But that'll do it for me. I want to thank you guys for watching the box office breakdown. Go ahead and drop any comments you have. Let me know what you think about it. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.